Look who it is! No, really! Look who it is!
How's it going, everybody? I am Jim Reed. That is John Blevins. And that gentleman up in the top left of your screen that you haven't seen on the show before is Mr. Ruben Bressler. Ruben, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's cold out there, but it's warm in here, so I'm glad to be here.
All right, so we have kind of dueling impersonators on the show today. Ruben, like
I didn't do my innkeeper impression there, but you get the point.
Well, you fancy yourself a better impersonator than I do, and it is intimidating for me to try to follow up Blevins in that department.
Sure,
so.
That was really good. I like that one.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. Some of them are eerie, like it's eerie how close he gets. But more on that, because Mr. Bressler is going to take his best effort here into Stump the Blevins today, and so we'll be doing some more impersonating later on.
Yep.
So, today is a big episode for us. Ruben, I don't know if you know this or not, you are our first special guest that we've had on the show.
Don't tell me that.
Yes, we are.
Wow. No, you're the last one. You're the last on our list.
So I'm the best guest ever.
Yes,
awesome.
Literally
Perfect.
Guaranteed before you opened your mouth, you were the best that we've ever had.
I'm also flattered. Thank you.
So
hopefully I can live up to all of the other non-guests that have never appeared on the show before.
I believe in you.
Thank you. That's all that matters to me.
All right. Well, if you guys didn't know, we have Mr. Bressler on today because he has a new project that is Hearthstone related, which we will be getting to in just a moment. But first, I want to introduce you guys to this handsome gentleman here. He has been a poker reporter, a poker player. He's done Hearthstone commentary. He's done Star City Games commentary, as well as other online content with them. He's appeared on Walking the Plains, which I believe is Pro Tour. That's when those come out, right?
Pro Tours and GPs. Every Pro Tour and a lot of the GPs, it's a Magic the Gathering sort of documentary series.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of fun and really entertaining.
I like this resume that I've got up here. And the sweater vest photo. Man, everything's great.
I got the most professional photo of you I can find.
That's the most professional photo of me that exists.
And we're the least professional podcast you'll ever be on.
Yes,
perfect.
And we didn't even ask him to grow a beard for us. He just naturally had one because he's that kind of guy.
I shaved this morning. I'm just Jewish, so it grows back very quickly.
Well, me and John are incredibly jealous.
Yeah.
We work months for
this
these.
Is hard.
Hard work. Mine just sort of happened. Don't worry.
Well, we had we were going to have a guest host this week as well. Oh, I'm sorry. And also Ruben is another podcast host.
Right.
Him, Evan Irwin, and I'm blanking on the third.
Aaron Campbell.
Aaron Campbell. All host Magic Mics, and you can find that. Tonight, I will let Ruben fill you in on the details for where you can see that and when.
Absolutely. You can go follow on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast. That's MAGICMICS. It's a pun. CAST Cast, and you can watch us on Twitch. The video will be up on YouTube later. We're going to be discussing a lot of the things that are happening in Magic the Gathering over the last week, including like Goyf Gate, if you guys are familiar with anything happening in Magic. A couple other things. If you guys like the Trading Card Game podcasts, I'm apparently appearing on all of them.
That's good. Very, very good.
Later this week, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast starring Ruben Bressler.
Yeah. Green Eyes White Podcast. Or whatever.
Oh,
Shots
I'm
fired.
just really good at coming up with names.
That might be the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference I could have possibly understood.
That's also the only one.
All right. We've exhausted our Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge, so I'm sure, however, there will be more MTG talk peppered in throughout the show, so you can always look forward to that, since me and John can't stop talking about it when nobody else is here anyways.
Yeah.
So, Ruben, your Hearthstone project that you're doing, you are going to be the head writer for Tempo Storm's new animated web series called The In Crowd.
Absolutely.
Just got announced, like, what was it, 2 days ago?
Really? Either yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, I was pretty surprised. They didn't tell me that they were going to announce it, so I was happy that it got announced.
Right.
Because we've been working on it for a couple months now. But yeah, very excited, and I'm ready to unleash it on the world, as it were.
Unleash the show?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, Not a whole lot of information has actually come out about this, so I'm really excited to kind of get into some of our questions that we have for you. Hopefully,
Okay.
if any viewers, anybody in Twitch chat, which, you know, you guys know if you're regulars here, we don't typically interact with Twitch chat during the show. We will, however, fire any questions you have for Ruben related to the in-crowd while we go through this process. And then again, if you have any other questions for him, you can save them for the Q&A session at the end of the show.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, John, do you want to lead us off here and fire the first question at Mr. Ruben?
Yeah, sure. We'll just start with a basic one. When are we going to be able to see this? When is it being released? Where is it being released? Et cetera, et cetera.
It will be released on TempoStorm.com. It's an official project of TempoStorm. I've been working pretty closely with Reynad and Frodan on the project. As for a date, we don't have a release date for it as of yet because we are still deciding how the series is going to be released, whether it's going to be like bi-weekly episodes or monthly episodes, or how we're going to do that. So more on that as we get closer to it. But as of right now, we don't have an official release date.
So it is going to be sort of contained episodes. Do you have a season length already? Everything's already done with it, right? For this season?
No, I'm still writing season 1, not
Okay.
episode 1. Don't worry, we're further along than that.
6
No,
months
we're
and we
further
got this
along than
picture.
that. Yeah, exactly. We're about halfway through the season, I think, in terms of writing. But we've still got a little bit more to go because we're still getting our feet under ourselves. You know, I haven't worked with any of these guys before in the past, and so we're still trying to feel each other's comedic timing out, and seeing what their skills are in terms of voice acting, what my skills are in terms of writing for their voices. The animator, who's a guy named Wojciech Gorny. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a Eastern European animator who's worked on a lot of projects before, and he's actually the creator, the idea man behind the show, and so I'm very excited to be working with all of them. But you know, we'll see when everything's able to come out. I can't imagine it'd be any longer than a few months on down the line, but you know, fingers crossed it'll be sooner than that.
Yeah.
But I'm just a words man. You know what I mean? I don't have the grand master plan. I just got some jokes.
You're
You know
like
what I mean?
you're like the first one done with your job for every episode, right? Like,
Yeah.
You would think that, but actually, there's a lot of rewrites and you know, a lot of, you know, once I write an episode, once it's done, it's not done. You know, I send it off to the guys, and they're like, you know, Hyped wouldn't really say something like that, or Reynad wouldn't react that way, or you know, we don't really feel that this is how the situation would develop, and then I try to reframe the scenes in order to better encapsulate their actual personalities, because they're real people. I'm sort of writing a non-fiction show in some ways, like I'm writing an animated reality show in some ways, and so there's a couple more challenges that than a normal comedy show would have.
now, I don't know if this is just because I am currently watching it on Netflix, but when I heard the name and saw it, I had kind of this instant connection to the IT Crowd.
Of course.
Yeah. Is there anything to that? Is there a connection or like a similar style to them?
You know, I hope so, because the IT Crowd is genius and one of the funniest shows of all time. Sadly, I don't think so. The IT Crowd is sort of an office-based comedy, and I guess that this is sort of like that, because the theme for the show is going to be that Frodan, Reynad, Hyped, and Gara are moving into their new TempoStorm house for the first time. And so it's these 4 co-workers, basically, dealing with all the things that you might expect when you move into a new house, and some of the things you might not, because they're moving into a Hearthstone house, and you have to make it a little bit more fun that way. And so you know, I certainly hope that everyone thinks it's funny. It's a lot of my style of humor.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my style of stand-up comedy and of my style of written comedy is a lot of 1-2 punch kind of set up, knockdown, Bob Hope style jokes, which are pretty sitcom-y. Sitcoms have sort of developed a little bit and tried to follow the Seinfeld model a little bit more in the last 15 years to be more situational rather than, I don't want to say rather than comedy, but more awkward situations and that kind of stuff. Whereas I'm a little bit more old school in that. But that isn't to say that you're not still going to have some awkward situations pop up in the show. But I think that I have faith that the show will be will touch the audience in some way. That will it's something that the Hearthstone scene and the card game scene in general doesn't have right now, and I think that everyone's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I remember when I saw it, I didn't even make the connection. I didn't catch your name in the little intro there. I was kind of like passively watching the teaser, and I sent it straight to John, and we were both kind of really excited about it, just because win or lose, like, it's such a cool concept, and you know what I mean? Like, it's like a risk. It's something that everybody's going to see. It's something that's going to really help Tempo Storm with their brand awareness. And
yeah, man,
it can fall flat on its face and still be a huge success, in my opinion. Like, it's that cool of an idea on its own.
Good, because I think that they're taking a big risk with this. This is not small potatoes trying to come out with basically a storyline television program. This is most TV shows take months, if not years, to develop. And animation is very difficult. And, my job is not terribly easy either, I think. But, for my skill set, it's the easiest for me to do. But I look at what they're trying to do, and I can't imagine having Gorney's job trying to animate any of the idiot ideas I come up with. So, I sincerely hope everyone enjoys it, because I think that it's going to be a ton of fun. And, I have high hopes for it, and I hope you guys give it a chance, even though it kind of looks like a weird idea, right? When I was first told, hey, check out this thing, they want a writer for a Hearthstone animated comedy series, I was like, that's a lot of words together in a row. Like, why are they doing this? But it fits my skill set perfectly. Right. I'm a comedy writer. I've hit legend on Hearthstone a couple times. I've done a lot of comedy through card games, and so I think that it just happened to be a perfect marriage. And they're lucky that I exist, is what I'm trying to say. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's a really cool idea, and I'm really excited for what everyone has to think about it.
Well, we're definitely excited to start to watch it here, and anybody that's not too familiar with it, as Ruben said, it will be following, and I'm going to just name the characters that you see on the screen there, left to right. That's Hyped on the far left, and then Frodan, then Reynad, and Gara are the four kind of main characters now.
And that's the house in the middle. They aren't. That's not a house for ants. They actually have a full-size house that they go in. That's just. In case you were worried, they don't have a. That's not. That's not.
I really liked in the teaser how accurate, like, even the inside of the house was, though. Like, because those rooms you get to know the room so well. Like, my audience said the one day I accidentally was streaming when the sun was still up, that they're like, your house looks so different during the daytime. Like, they get used to that background, and it almost becomes like a part of your stream where you're physically streaming from, and it throws people for a loop if you change something like that. So I thought it was really, really cool to see that represented as well. Anyways, we've got a couple more questions here as well. Actually, a few. We've only hit like 2 of them so far. So how integrated is the actual Hearthstone? Like, will we be seeing gameplay as a part of the show? How is all that going to work? How much is tournament based? And
right. So I'm sort of doing this as I'm sort of making it up as I go along, right? And when I got brought on, they were like, "Hey, we want to do this animated show," and then I was like, "All right, how much creative freedom do I have?" And they were like, "All of it," and I'm like. Okay, I can get behind that. I don't know. I don't know if they knew what they were signing up for, but I certainly am going to. Basically, I'm going to use every part of the Buffalo. Anytime there's humor that I can use, I'm going to use it. I'm gonna make fun of Kriparian videos. I'm gonna make fun of, Rope Coach. I'm gonna make fun of, and I'm certainly gonna make fun of Reynad just, tilting off, right? Like, these are all things that I'm gonna do. But I'm also gonna use elements from the game and put them into the show, right? So, for example, I'm not going to give any plot elements of any of the shows away, but here's an idea that I haven't written yet. And I might use it, but this is one of the ideas that I thought of that is, like, very difficult to translate into TV. The guys have a jacuzzi in the backyard, and they want to get it fixed up. The problem is that it's full of echoing oozes. So they have to figure out how to clean out the hot tub, even because when they take out one, two more come back, and that's, So that's an idea I had for an episode. That's the kind of thing that you can expect from the show. You can also expect, random other, gameplay things to happen. Like, I haven't really figured out exactly how to get this to work, but I certainly want to make a game board in real life in the show and have like two of the guys settle an argument over who empties the dishwasher next or whatever through battle. So if anyone has ideas, tweet them at me at MoxRuby, MoxReuby, because I'm trying to come up with, something I'm really good at is taking other people's ideas and refining them and honing them and sharpening them. And if you guys have ideas, I will certainly listen to them. Keep in mind, everyone thinks they're a comedian, so I'm not going to use every idea. But some of the best ideas I've ever come up with happened when I'm just like sitting there with some friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've got some. It really sucks because I can't tell you guys what to expect out of the first couple episodes because I'm just not going to give it away.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
So you're not going to tell us when Reynad dies? It's not. We're not.
No, that's a spoiler.
It's not like South Park doesn't die every episode.
Correct. Yeah. Boy, that'd be so good though. If Reynad just died every episode, that'd be hilarious.
Ruben's like, hold on a second, just scribbling.
Yeah, I'm writing this down right now. We have to turn off the podcast. I have to. No. But yeah, I hope it's that I can keep coming up with these goofy ideas and basically writing episodes of Scooby-Doo every week. You know what I mean? It's a fun job. Man,
if I
we'll
see an episode with the Globetrotters on it, I will donate any amount of money towards it. That's
Well, chat's got one good idea, and that's, somebody in the house really wants to grow a beard, so they call in the Unleash the Podcast crew to help out. So, you could just write that one down. Think about it. You don't got to worry too much about it right now. Just keep it on the back burner.
Right.
All right. I'm actually terrified of what an animator would do to caricaturize me. So maybe that's not the best idea. But I don't know, John, have you ever had a caricature drawn of you or anything like that?
Yes. One of my good friends in high school went on to be an animation student, and he drew the first 2 pages of a Blevins anime panel. And
nice.
Yeah, it's
if you ever
weird.
want to know why you're unique, go get a caricature done of yourself.
Yeah.
You'll find out real quick.
I had a job where the boss had a friend who was a caricature artist at Six Flags, and he came in to do everybody in the office, and he just looks at me and he goes, "Smile for me," and I smiled, and he's just like, "Oh man," and he's just I'm like, "Oh God, what did I do?"
Oh man.
Apparently, when I smiled for him, one half of my mouth went down a little bit instead of up. I don't know how I smiled like that. But he just he just ran with it, and he was so excited. He's like, "I've never seen anybody smile like you in my entire life," and I was just sitting there terrified, waiting for him to flip the thing over. It was just
wait.
Just so
I
you
have
know,
to draw you.
Yeah, it's like, just so you know, you have one eye that's slightly above the other one on your head. I know it doesn't impact your life in any way, but I thought you'd like to feel self-conscious for the rest of the month.
You'll never unsee this drawing. Here you go. Give
yeah,
me
exactly.
$20 now. Thank you. All right. John, you want to hit him with another question here?
Yes. What do we have? Maybe not. Did we go over everything for the show?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
What kind of rating can we expect, Ruben?
Oh, yeah.
Rating.
Yes.
This is not going to be an R-rated show. This is not going to. I don't think this will even be PG-13. I'm trying to keep it pretty clean. You know, it's an animated show. It's about Hearthstone. And also, while I definitely do use certain aspects of lewdness in my day-to-day life and in my stand-up comedy, I feel like this is not the best spot for curse words. So I'm going to be keeping it PG at the dirtiest, I think. Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty safe.
Okay. Let's see. Now, I think you answered this, but I just want to get it confirmed. All the characters that appear on the show will be voiced by themselves?
I believe so, yes. I will be doing supporting voice acting. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a fairly accomplished impressionist. And so I can, whenever a character needs to be filled in, I can typically handle that. But because of the reaction from the Hearthstone audience, I think that if we ever need a guest voice, they might want to come on and do it themselves. Or certainly we can get volunteers that have been honing their various streamer impressions to come on the show. I know I've been every once in a while I'll just be doing one of the impressions that I do just for fun. And I'll write that into the show, and that's just a thing that'll make its way into the show, even though I don't have a plot element necessarily. So I think that, but certainly for the four major characters, Reynad, Frodan, Hyped, and Gara, the plan is at this moment to have them supply their own voices.
All right. Well, yeah. And if there's ever just any voice you can't quite handle, you just let the Blevins know. I'm sure.
Perfect. Well, you're hired. And by hired, I mean we're not going to pay you, but you get.
I wouldn't expect anything. I don't really expect anything for anything I've ever done. So that's why I've been working for free the last 25 years.
There you go.
Good plan. Now, Ruben, you certainly seem to be associated with all things cardboard related.
Yep, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into Hearthstone and what kind of drew you into the game?
Absolutely. So I've been playing Magic the Gathering since I was 12 years old. I've been playing poker since I was 15. Cards and competition have been a part of my life as long as I can remember. And I never really got into Magic online. There's something sort of, it's like collecting vinyl. There's something about the tactile nature of cards. But the first time, and I was never really into computer games either. I was real bad at StarCraft, even though I played it a lot and loved it. I was real bad. I used to watch my friends play Dota in college. I played poker online, but I've always preferred poker in real life. It's just how I've always been. But something about Hearthstone really drew me in. I saw it announced and was like, oh, that's neat. But at the time, I was working for Star City Games. I didn't have time for another card game. When Star City Games and I had our separation, I decided to pick up Hearthstone and was immediately drawn in by, even though it's on a computer, it's very tactile, right? You grab the cards, you move them around, the arrow moves where you point. Each card has its own reaction when you hover over it, when you move it, when you put it onto the battlefield, when it dies, all of that stuff. And so that really attracted me to the game. And I felt like that really was what drew me to Hearthstone. Some of my friends that I used to watch early on when Hearthstone was first becoming popular, I used to watch my friend Steve Rubin, Ruben Zoo, who used to be very high up on the tournament scene and still streams every once in a while. Was one of the first streams that really drew me in and was like, oh, Magic players just have an inherent advantage in Hearthstone. I get it, because because if you get somebody from Warcraft and somebody from a game that has resource management and has tempo and has card advantage like Magic, the one that's used to tempo and card advantage and resource management is going to have a big edge, and that happened for several months until people caught up. Obviously, everyone's caught up now, and everyone knows how overpowered the Warlock hero power is. But people didn't always know that. You know what I mean?
That's true.
People didn't always realize that one drops and drawing a card every turn was great. So
we talked about in the past recently, like Starving Buzzard used to cost 2 mana, and so did Unleash the Hounds, and people thought Hunter was one of the worst classes in the game. For a good amount of time. So it's definitely different. Now, you mentioned like Magic players do have an inherent advantage.
I feel that way. Now, there are certain aspects of the game that are better for people who are used to other types of games, I feel. Because the resource system, for example, the mana crystals, the RNG, I think, is really what staves off a lot of Magic players. It's frustrating for Magic players to come into a game and have a different type of random number generation than they're used to. Right. In Magic, it's much less overt. In Hearthstone, the cards say the word random on them. You know what you're signing up for. In Magic, the luck is much different. The luck is in drawing your cards in the right order, getting mana flooded, getting mana screwed. For those that don't play Magic, you have your mana crystals are basically shuffled into your deck, and you draw them in random orders. And sometimes you don't draw a mana crystal for some number of turns, and it's a much different animal. So I think that really throws some people off, and they can't handle the swings quite as much, and also they don't know how to attack a situation like, you have a Knife Juggler in play, your opponent has 2 1/1s. Is the right thing to do to play 1 creature and Mage Hero Power, or is the right thing to do to play 2 creatures, right? And Magic players often can't process the math of that in much the same way that people that have played Hearthstone know that that they've got like a 55% chance of hitting one and like a 40% chance of hitting both, or whatever the actual math is.
Right.
But they've internalized that. They already have that math in their head, and so it's much more frustrating for Magic players, and that quite honestly scares them away. So while there might be some advantages, there are certainly some disadvantages too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask, and you answered the question I was leading towards, and that was like, what, if any, disadvantages have you faced as somebody that was coming from a Magic background going into Hearthstone? Because I know myself, like, I was never a great limited player in Magic. All my best finishes are in constructed events, things like that. So when I, for example, come to Hearthstone, and now I can't trade for cards and do all these different things, so I am stuck, like, having to play the arena. My card evaluation was way off. For example, when you're drafting in Magic, a removal spell almost counts as a creature in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? The value of a removal spell is way higher. So I found myself just picking the wrong cards in the arena, because I'm like, why wouldn't I want Hammer of Justice? This seems ridiculous. Like, I get to kill something and draw a card? I'm pretty sure... Right. I'm pretty sure if Incinerate said draw a card on it, it would be the dumbest thing ever, so I got this card.
Exactly.
And that's just not the case. The card's, damn near unplayable. So,
right. And I think that another thing that throws Magic players off is that damage stays on the creatures.
Yes.
Right.
And so something like what's a good example for this? For in Magic, a wall or like an 07 would have a lot more value than a Shield Bearer does. Even though Shield Bearer saw play in early Zoo decks,
Sure.
It's certainly not as good, because the damage doesn't wear off at the end of the turn. Mm-hmm. Something like a Chillwind Yeti is much better in Hearthstone than it would be in Magic. Just because it can survive so much and deals so much damage for its cost. And so, there's give and take. And the other thing about Hearthstone that frustrates Magic players is that you can't really do anything on your opponent's turn, right? The game engine is much simpler. Being able to respond to whatever your opponent does in Magic requires so many more rules in the rulebook and so much more programming that Hearthstone is easier to grok, to immediately understand,
Right.
and to get the program to work. And so it's 6 one, half dozen the other. It's not like one is better than the other.
No.
I don't think.
No, definitely not.
It's different cups of tea for different people.
All right, yeah, we let's see here. I was just gonna say something and I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, even the instant speed stuff and the on your opponent's turn. Like me and Blevin still had trouble with that, evaluating like BRM cards. Like we were so all in on Solemn Vigil. Like this card's incredible, it's amazing, it's gonna be
Volcanic Drake,
Volcanic Drake, and then we're playing it and we're like in the after show, we're Skyped together playing it, and I'm just like, hey Blevins, why didn't you flash that at the end of turn? Like what?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't you play your 0-mana 6/4 at
To
end
be
turn,
fair,
man?
both of those cards are insane. To be fair, both of those cards are still very good.
Yes.
Yes.
I pick Solemn Vigil over almost everything in my Paladin arenas.
Yes.
That card's ridiculous.
Yeah. I was playing Volcanic Drake in Zoo, and it just was not working out for me.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, I got like there was some people spectating me, and I got like 3 people be like, "Why didn't you play that Volcanic Drake at end of turn?" And I'm like, I probably shouldn't be playing it in the deck in the first place.
Right.
All right. Well, we're gonna push past the solid interview portion here, and Ruben is gonna be kind enough to stick with us through our entire episode, talk about some of the other things we're going to be discussing, and we did get some pretty exciting news in the Hearthstone world very shortly before the podcast. So I quick scrambled to find something to put up and to show you guys. And Blizzard announced essentially we're going to be getting new heroes. What exactly this means, we don't know. All we know is that it's not going to be Garrosh anymore. It's going to be a different name for Warrior, and the picture is going to be shaped roughly like that silhouette. That's the extent of the information they've given us. So, great for us, because now we just get to speculate wildly.
Right.
Just make things up on the spot and tell you they're going to happen, and it'll be fun. So, yeah, what are your guys' first impressions on this? Are you excited? Did you expect them to be doing this particular change this soon? Or what are your initial thoughts, Ruben?
Well, I certainly wasn't expecting it. I mean, you can never expect a big announcement like this unless they're like, hey, in a week, check it out on our Twitter, we're going to have big news. But yeah, exactly. But I think that this is the kind of thing that people have been discussing on the Hearthstone Reddit and Hearthstone Twitter discussions for a while. There are 3 possibilities of what this means. One is it's just going to change from Garrosh to whatever this new character is, and the hero power is still going to be +2 armor. The other option is that the hero power is going to change, which is mind-blowing for anyone that's played Hearthstone for like a year and a half. Your Hunter hero power isn't going to be Steady Shot anymore. That's kind of bananas, right? So it's just all of them are going to shift. The third is that you get a choice between which warrior hero you want to use, which is also kind of crazy. Like instead of having a choice between 9 heroes, you get 18, theoretically. So all of the options are pretty exciting. I'm not huge into the lore of Warcraft, so I don't know what the different characters can do, or what the different classes are capable of. But I'm certainly aware that typically the hunter is like not a face damage kind of guy, right? Like in actual World of Warcraft.
That's Jim's territory.
Yeah, they're definitely a DPS class. And they're
I don't know what that means.
Ones, damage per second.
It's a DPS class. They tend to do damage with their pets and other hero abilities.
Got it. But not so much with their arrows.
I have no idea. I just made that up.
With their arrows.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they definitely, they shoot. Like, Steady Shot is the hero ability. That is your most common hunter ability.
Okay.
Like, when I played it, at least they're different now. You had to constantly be steady shotting every second.
Sure.
And you had to, thread your other abilities in between your steady shots so you didn't interrupt them. And that was how you maximize DPS. So the hunter hero ability is, unfortunately, rather, from a flavor perspective, very spot on.
Okay. Well, in that case, never mind. But I know when I watch Heroes of the Storm, the character that has the most just face damage is Jaina.
Yeah.
Right? And Jaina deals 1 damage with her hero power, and Rexxar deals 2. So I think that from a flavor perspective, they can certainly futz with the numbers and be like, all right, well, we got this other mage ability now, where the ability is like, or like a priest. How about this? Priest ability, instead of healing 2, target minion loses an attack forever, or something like that. They get to kind of go nuts, right? You get like, I don't know what class this would go in, but like heal a random guy on your team, either you or a minion, and then deal a random damage to one of your opponents. Like that's the kind of thing they get to do if they want to change up the hero powers. So it's a really exciting change. Obviously, I don't know if that's what they're going to do. It'd be kind of weird if they just took away Garrosh entirely. But it's a living, breathing game. They can change everything they want. They can make Starving Buzzard cost 3 mana tomorrow if they want to. Yeah. Right? So these are all experiments. We're only a year and a half into the game being a game, and I think that the players will get bored if everything stays the same for too long. And so I'm really excited that they're willing to take big chances like this. We'll see how big this change will be. But this is a pretty big change.
John, now what do you think they're going to do with the new heroes? Any of those ideas Ruben just mentioned sound particularly good?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most exciting one would be if they just added basically 9 new heroes. With the additional hero power, and maybe they don't even need to have the hero powers cost 2. They could have like late game ones where it's like 6 mana, draw 3 cards or something like that. Like. The online TCG Hex has kind of like heroes in Hearthstone, but a lot of them have these late game abilities. Like one is like if you get like 9 charges or whatever, you can make like a 10/10 squirrel or something. So I mean, they don't even need to have the same sort of cookie cutter 2 mana. That would be sweet if they did like more I guess niche heroes where like maybe they have their priest one super focused on beating aggressive decks. It's like 2 mana gain 5 life or something, but all you can do is target yourself. I don't know, but it would be kind of cool to see more maybe one extreme or the other for the new heroes. What I kind of hope they don't do is just like, hey, you can change your Garrosh hero portrait to this guy and he's exactly the same, but now he has a different voice. It's like, I really don't want to see that. But, I mean, it's something, so even that would be, I guess, kind of exciting.
I was just going to say, of all the people on the planet that I would think would be excited for a new voice pack, and that's the only thing they're getting.
But, like, if they're billing it like that, and they're building it up like this, I want some meat. I don't want to just, get excited and then be like, here's some new skins. Here's a new card back for you. It's like maybe if they did that and they added some deck slots too, then maybe I.
The other thing about it is that if you have your golden Garrosh hero portrait, you now can get the golden Thorin Redbeard.
No,
golden Gimli.
Yeah.
I'm just mortified that maybe my only golden hero portrait of Warrior might be significantly.
You can use your gold. See, my idea is you can use your golden one, or you can get this other guy. Why not both?
Ranked wins, yeah.
Yeah. 4K Los Dos. Am I right? Yeah. Come on.
So, this isn't the first time we've talked about adding heroes. We've got a viewer, Scott, that loves to think down this line of thinking. Like I wish he was here because I think he'd be super excited for this conversation. Though he watches on YouTube every week, so I'm sure he'll see it. He loves to think about this. What direction can the game go? Like, what's the next sharp left turn? And he kind of asks these questions that seem really crazy. And this was one of them. But his point in asking them is that they can do whatever they want. So there's nothing off limits here, and here they've shown it, with no no ramp up. They just go straight into this like announcement. Like there was, I mean, it's still pretty like a mysterious patron is the title of the thing. So you know, there's obviously an element of mystery to it and hype, but you'd have almost expected them with something this big to be like, big changes coming in a week. You know what I mean? Like just kind of like little.
I mean, how this is kind of like that. It's like, hey, mysterious patron, look at this weird thing, right? Like if they just come out and announced it, our whole podcast would have been like, this idea is stupid. And here's why. Here's what they should have done, and that would have been every podcast.
Right.
Now there's build up. Now there's us saying like, hey, this would be a cool idea. This would also be okay. I hope it's not this, but if it is this. Whatever. They can try that idea later, right? So, you know, this could even be a little bit of crowdsourcing. Maybe they don't even know what Mysterious Patron really means yet, right? Maybe they've got this idea of like, yeah, we're probably going to do this, but we don't know quite how we're going to implement it. Let's see how Unleashed the podcast handles it.
Yeah,
right?
it's like we've got a viewer in chat. It's B. Brode. He says, none of our ideas are stupid, and you guys are stupid, and
Weird.
Yeah, really weird.
Weird how he would say that, yeah.
B. Brode.
Ben watches every week and just always writes in the most hateful comments to us.
Oh, I'm sure.
really dastardly things. It's just
so,
kind of
Ruben, you made an effort at something I wanted to ask each of you, and I kind of have an example for as well. So, John, think of it while I kind of explain mine, but a specific hero ability that they might use if they were to be changing the hero abilities around. I like the idea of having like a 6-mana one, like John said, but I think it's more likely they keep it to 2 mana to keep everything kind of consistent in that regards. And I think this warrior one, like a really prime example, would just be take the text on Inner Rage and Cruel Taskmaster and make it cost 2 mana on a hero ability. I think that fits what Warrior's doing now. Maybe people don't want to see that because Grim Patron exists. But I just thought, you know, it's kind of like them to choose something that's in the wheelhouse of the class's cards already. So, you know, maybe something else might be like just a 2-mana Whirlwind on your hero ability, though that might be a little broken.
Oh, that would be insane.
Yeah, they would have to up the
that would be
level
really
of the other
insane
ones as well.
It's like
I think that the most likely... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say my most likely hero power for a new warrior would be equip a 2/1 weapon.
I like that.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
I think that's like pretty clean. It's like just a reflection of the rogue weapon. You know, slightly higher power, slightly lower durability, reflects the warrior's weapons class. It works really well with upgrade. It would get some other cards to see slightly more play and not have to depend so much on Fiery War Axe. You know, you could build a completely different kind of warrior deck if you had a proactive early game solution to Flame Imp, right? Yeah. You could just you know, I don't know. It's also just more face damage that you could put into a warrior deck. You know, the face warrior decks can sometimes, you know, peter out and run out of gas. But, you know, if you're playing against a deck that doesn't have a lot of taunt, now you've got steady shot too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, definitely. I like the thought about it kind of improving other cards like upgrade as well. It's really interesting. Sorry, as soon as somebody gives me a good idea like that, my brain just goes crazy. I'm like building decks already, trying to figure out how I would try to abuse.
That's all I'm good for, by the way. I'm really good at ideas, and that's it. That's the end. I can't. I'm a good architect. I can't engineer the house together, but I can draw it for you.
All right, John, do you want to take a crack at a new hero ability?
Yeah, given the like 5 seconds of time to think about it, but I don't. I think it would probably be a little bit too strong at 2 mana, but maybe something along the lines of maybe it could go in either Paladin or Priest. Maybe like, you know, reduce a minion's attack to 1, because that kind of plays off of the Priest. I mean, yeah, that'd probably be like a 4-mana hero ability. At 2 mana, it would be too good. But
I mean,
you know,
humility is pretty good, but
yeah. But there's a number of things.
Be so strong.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
Stampeding Kodo would definitely be more playable.
I've
maybe
already
like
never beaten a Kodo ever in my life, but it's like the most unbeatable card ever.
Yeah.
In arena.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's seen constructed play at times.
Yeah, control Paladin.
And if there's a 4-mana hero ability that reduces any minion's attack to 1, that, you know.
It's pretty good.
Don't gotta nerf Dr. Boom anymore.
But
there you go.
yeah, exactly. But I definitely think that they're trying to. There's definitely a lot of seeds of cards in classes that kind of push you one way or the other, and it's just like there's not enough cards out, and there's not enough diversity in the card pool to really put you towards, like you said, like the face damage warrior or the weapon damage warrior. Like the card, what's that druid card, like ferocity or whatever, the one mana
Savagery.
Like, savagery.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be something there, right? There's a couple of cards that deal with it, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that
definitely do a druid thing that's like, well, first of all, the fact that druid's hero power doesn't say choose one blows my mind.
Right.
So like choose one, I think it's probably too strong to be choose one, gain 2 armor, or get 2 attack. That's like you get to either choose the warrior hero power already,
Right.
or you know what I mean?
hunter.
That's like way too strong. But it certainly could be like choose one, gain 1 armor or 2 attack. Or, I mean, that's kind of similar to the hero power I just mentioned for the warrior. Making savagery playable is a noble cause, certainly, because it certainly isn't. But I think that there's probably something there. Anytime there's a class that you don't really identify with a key type of gameplay, like warrior and aggro, don't really go together. You have combo warrior and you have control warrior, right? But you don't really think aggro warrior, right? Hunter, you don't really think control hunter, right? There's not really a home for Gazrilla, really. You've got these mid-range hunters, and you've got these face hunters, and you've got these new hybrid hunters, but you don't really have, like, I don't know, super late game Alex Astra hunter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So
So
only
I think
wins
that,
with this hero power.
yeah, exactly. Which would be sweet. I tried to make that work. It involved
Yeah.
Acolyte of Pain and Wild Pyromancer and Hunter's Mark, which was
there you
great,
go.
by the way.
Super
It was
good,
so
yeah.
much fun and was not good, but it was so much fun.
I've messed with a lot
But-
of control hunter in my day.
Yeah. Did you have Elven Archer in your Acolyte of Pain deck and Hunter's
yeah,
Mark
you
deck?
like
I
needed
did.
it, right? Because
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you had no other 1-drops that were at all
Right.
good at all.
Yeah, Zombie Child wasn't out when I was doing it.
Exactly. And so, there's a lot of, like Shadow Bomber in Priest doesn't have a home. Maybe they make a Shadow Priest hero guy. So like maybe they do stuff like that. And I think that that's a really cool way to not only add more lore from the World of Warcraft universe, but also to give players more options and to without coming out with a billion new cards, they've suddenly added a whole new aspect of the metagame to Hearthstone, which is awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of like their goal with GVG, if I remember correctly, was to kind of like reimagine each class and give them a different and new way to play the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they were hugely successful in that goal, though the set was great. I had a lot of fun with it. Like, it just kind of at the end boiled down to, like, I guess it's Control Warrior still, and, oh, I guess Handlock's still really good, and Druid beats these decks, and, like, everything was just kind of the same with new cards in them.
Right.
Right.
They succeeded with Mech Mage,
Yes.
and they succeeded with Grim Warrior, and that's about it.
Yeah. They've kind of reinvigorated Demon Lock to an extent as well, with things like
Sure.
Imp Gang Boss and
That's
really
fair.
expanded
I guess Warlock had Zoo and Handlock and didn't really have any third archetype, and now you've got these sort of mid-range demon decks.
that. Right, hybrids of the two and things like that. But,
Yeah.
Speaking of lore, on the right side of your screen, you see that nice little dwarf gentleman. Now, I know you guys don't play WoW and don't know much about lore, so feel free to
Learn
just,
me something.
That's
Feel free
Gimli
to
from
just-
Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
I think so. That's what it looks like, anyways.
I thought it was you. I thought that was your caricature that you got done by your friend in high school.
I wish I was that handsome. I'm too tall. I'm too tall.
It's a caricature. It's not an accurate depiction.
Well, anyways, this guy here is what I think is the most likely hero for this guy to be. And this is based off the super scientific research that I did, where I just looked up Warcraft warriors and started looking at the artwork and tried to see which one matched up as near as I could. I think it's kind of clear the silhouette certainly looks like a dwarf, at least to me. I don't know how you guys feel about that assumption.
Agreed.
Yeah, I can agree on dwarf here.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that that's fact. This gentleman's name, and I put it away because I don't think things through clearly. What's his
It's
first name?
Magni Bronzebeard, isn't it?
Yes, Magni Bronzebeard.
Yeah. It's Scandinavian name, noun.
Yeah.
Is that their naming convention at Blizzard?
Yeah,
For
man.
dwarves.
Yeah.
Well,
Gimli, short, stout.
you know, if we have, if they want to add more beards to the game, me and John certainly can't complain about that. It makes us feel much more at home. And there's a couple other similarities, things I want to point out about the picture here. Now, the weapons you don't see the weapons, right? Like he has, and I made it so you can see my mouse. He has these two maces in his hand, and you don't really see them. If anything, I see axe based, or it could be you know, like a two-handed mace, something like that. But I didn't see him dual wielding, so that's kind of a strike against it being Magni Bronzebeard. But you know, there's other things, right? Like this loop. You see this loop coming off what I'm assuming is a weapon, because that's where it comes off of here. It's a loop that hangs off the weapon. So this was another thing that kind of led me to the dwarf thing. Blizzard is kind of historically very good at being flavorful with their item design, things like that, especially for these named characters. So anyway, that was just kind of the thought I had. There's really not a whole lot else for you to go off of. I mean, you just have a silhouette. And there are a couple other options. You know, Muradin Bronzebeard is another one. So
yeah, Muradin seems like it makes a lot of sense because he's in Heroes of the Storm.
Yep.
That's why, like, I mean, they've kind of. It seems like they would be doing themselves a favor if they kind of fused everything closer together instead of like adding another random dwarf warrior.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's like multiple orc shamans in Heroes of the Storm, and I'm like, why didn't they just choose literally anything else? There's like hundreds of different combinations of stuff they could do across multiple games, and there's 2 orc shamans in Heroes of the Storm. It's like, okay, sure.
Well, kind of in the same boat though. You know, if they were to do a guy that's not in Heroes, right? It kind of brings another one of Warcraft's special characters to the forefront to make him a future Heroes character.
Right, and then there would be 2 dwarf warriors in Heroes, and I'm just as disappointed about that as anything else. Also, if they put a dwarf warrior or dwarf anything in Heroes, it better be the Innkeeper. That's what I want. I want the Innkeeper hero in Heroes of the Storm riding the Hearthstone card bag, and I will never pick anything else in Heroes of the Storm.
Riding like a flying carpet like this.
Yeah, that's actually a mount.
It.
That's a mount.
Yeah,
that
that's a
Really?
mount now. Yeah, they added it with
it's not out yet. It's not out yet, but it is coming out.
Yeah, they're great. They're great at coming up with goofy things.
Yeah.
They're great at almost everything. They're so good.
Yep.
They certainly are.
It's crazy.
I never realized it until like I got really into Hearthstone, just how big of a Blizzard fanboy I am. I'm like, yeah, I play World of Warcraft. It's the best video game ever created. Why wouldn't I play it? And then I'm like, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for Diablo 3. And then I played that for a whole bunch, bought the expansion, played it a whole bunch more. And then I'm like, I started playing Heroes, and I'm like, I can just uninstall Steam because everything I do comes off of this BattleNet launcher. It's just ridiculous. And it's not even like I had this plan where it's just like, oh, Blizzard made it, I have to play it. You know, maybe that's the case with Overwatch a little bit.
Yeah, that is the case with Overwatch.
That also just looks really badass.
Yeah, it does look really sweet.
All right, and speaking of Blizzard and their ability to create awesome and goofy things, they came out with a couple of TV commercials recently as well.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to talk about with these, but they're super funny and cool. And
yeah,
I just wanted to highlight them and bring attention to them because Blizzard is doing a phenomenal job recently of upping their advertising game and just really helping to attract new gamers. You know, I remember seeing the World of Warcraft commercials on TV, and as a World of Warcraft player, I'm sitting there going like, I don't know if it's going to make too many people play this game. Like, all you've told me is that 1 million people play it, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all I know. Here, they did a really good job of like kind of encapsulating Hearthstone in a little bit. Like they played into the fact that it's RNG based, you know, it's there. Just a really, really fun and interesting commercial. I don't know if you guys had anything to say about it. I just wanted to bring it to people's attention so they'd go watch it.
I loved the Stormwind Champion commercial. I thought that was just absolutely hilarious. And that's all I have to say about that. I just thought it was just so funny. To be able to pull off something that clever and that just encapsulating in 30 seconds is they hired the right guy for the job. That guy is worth keeping around. I really enjoyed it a lot.
My only gripe with the commercial is that they, for whatever reason, made Tinkmaster the 4/4 that trades with the ogre when they very clearly should have just used Millhouse Manastorm, who is already a 4/4 and like is like funnier and like part of the like beginning of Hearthstone. Maybe they did it just because it's easier to say Tinkmaster than Millhouse. I don't know. But that's the only gripe I have is that they could have just used Millhouse Manastorm.
I don't know that that's a scientific fact that it's actually easier to say that.
I'm just trying to think of reasons like, you know, they wouldn't have used Millhouse Manastorm because they just randomly made Tinkmaster Overspark a 4/4 instead of just using the 4/4 already. I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird that they would do that.
Well, I was definitely surprised when it was Tinkmaster when he showed up. I'm just like, that's the guy. Not because of the power, toughness, anything like that. It was just the sheer like he seems like a random guy to bring up. But nonetheless,
maybe they just had a Tinkmaster costume lying around, like they had that ready to go.
That could have very well been it. Just the best and maybe most cost-effective costumes to come up with were what they went with.
Right.
So yeah, there's the first one where it basically kind of shows you a fight, and then this one where you can see the screenshot from is kind of like an after the fight. It's like a sports interview. You know what I mean? They're in the locker room talking to the Ogre Brute. Really funny as well. I always love the ogres and their sound effects and their lines. They're just really funny to me. So. Anyways, yeah, that's really all we need to say about the commercials. Go check them out. I'll put a link in below in the YouTube description, so feel free to check that out as well. One last thing here before we stump the Blevins and we get a couple more questions from chat and the other viewers. Maybe John will keep an eye on Twitter, see if anything comes in there. We're going to take a look at the deck I used to get Legendary last season. This is a deck list I got from Maddie J Mania, who is part of our Streamer Spotlight alumni. As we see, Ruben has to strain his eyes to see the even smaller version
sorry.
of it. No problem at all, sir.
This is like a hybrid paladin.
Yeah, it's really mid-rangey. You know, it's got like the Acera top end, but doesn't play the consorts.
Well, I saw two shielded or two knife jugglers and was like, oh, it's aggro paladin. And then I saw a cog hammer and was like, yeah, it's definitely aggro paladin. And then you've just got Ysera in it, and I just don't know what to do with myself.
Right. Yeah, I had literally nothing to do with the manufacturing of this deck. This was just, here's 30 cards, and I said, you play way more Paladin than me, Maddie. I'm happy to just shove your list at the ladder. And it literally took me from like rank 5 to rank 2 in like the blink of an eye. It was like one day. It was really, really strong.
Wow.
Yeah, and it did a great job. It's just a really consistent, well-performing mid-range Paladin deck. I did, however, have a little trouble with the final rank. I stayed put a lot there. You know, you had a lot of people switching to Grim Patrons, the best deck to finish their climb, and that is probably your weakest matchup here. You know, you play Musters and you don't have Quartermasters, so in that matchup, they're just like, you run them out super early and get them whirlwinded, or you run them out late and then they fill their board because of it, so you lose.
Right.
So it was definitely an interesting deck, one I will use again this season. I will probably start there once I get to 5 and, you know, push for that Golden Paladin, and it's definitely something worth trying here.
I think Golden Paladin is the portrait that is the least often seen.
Yeah, I would have seen.
I think
I would have thought Warrior,
maybe, or Shaman, maybe Shaman.
Yeah.
I guess Warrior just because they like never finish any games.
Yeah, they never had like an aggro or a proactive deck that ended the game until Grim Patron came about.
Right.
And now it's definitely kind of like the easier way. I
guess literally no one on the planet plays Shaman anymore, so maybe that one's less common.
Yeah,
But you get the golden totems, which is the coolest payoff.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And the gold and silver hand recruits are pretty good too.
I said it.
Yeah, but you only get one of those. You get all four
That's
of
true.
the golden totems.
That is true. The biggest payoff is definitely Shaman for sure.
Yeah, and I currently sit at 250 wins with Shaman, so I'm just like, halfway there.
We're
gotta get it.
halfway there.
But
Sorry, I just couldn't.
But I even
Not
feel like a
resist.
little dirty about it because I'm playing Mech Shaman, so I'm just like abusing
yeah.
the class
Raise
for
the
its flame
smork.
tongue totems and wearing Zapomatics, and just like other than that, I might as well play
Let
no
the
class
hate
at all.
flow through you. I just like how this deck, Maddie answered the question for us that like everyone was thinking when BRM came out. It's like, which 5-drop do you use in your Paladin deck now? Do you use Quartermaster or do you use Dragon Consort? And Maddie just said, none of the above. I'm just gonna
None of the
not
above.
play either.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's Sludge Belcher, so we're just gonna
Yeah,
run
so
that. out there.
it's just always like that.
I'm pretty sure it's Kodo. Oh wait, we're not 8 months ago. It's not 8 months
Yep.
ago still. Never mind.
How many humilities do you run, Ruben?
Yeah, as many as they'll let me.
Right?
Yes. It's going to be the new hero power. You heard it here first, folks.
There you go. Perfect.
And another card selection here that was even controversial to Maddie. Like we had conversations about this. Emperor Thorson seems a little out of place in a deck with exactly Harrison Jones to draw you cards.
Yeah.
But I've got to
That's a little
say,
weird.
like it is a
Well,
deck
no,
that
you
plays.
have a lay on hands.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, we can go turn 6, turn 7. We got
and
the
that
the
is
combo.
That's true.
like the dumbest thing on the
The
planet to
Wombo
do.
combo, yeah.
It really is the stupidest thing
Yeah,
ever.
really good.
That's possible.
And just also, I mean, you go Emperor into Tyrion. So if for whatever reason they didn't kill your Emperor, you are immediately protecting it, putting almost a higher value minion on the board that they have to deal with first. And then, your lay on hands now cost 6 mana, which that's not ridiculous.
Yeah.
And as Sereb gets cheaper to where you can play it, and, if you get 2 triggers, you can play it and then force somebody to follow the rules, things like that.
Yeah. Let's be real though. How many games do you think you've lost ever in which you got to untap with Thorson? Just not a lot. The answer's not.
It's not a lot, yeah. It's like,
It's
yeah,
not
it's not a lot.
not a ton of them.
Not a whole
Yeah, you're pretty much. If you get to start your turn with a Thorson and play, you're in real good shape that game.
This is a deck that will do that a little more often than not, because if you don't have that lay on hands, or like there's only 3 cards that are like a huge benefit.
Yeah.
So this is one where you might experience that more than in the past. And if you're playing against a Paladin deck and they play Emperor Thorson, if they are light on the number of cards in their hand, you can kind of drop the priority down on killing it a little bit. Still do if it's at all within the realm of possibility. You don't want to take that chance, but this guy Emperor is weaker here than in other places, but still really strong.
Sure.
All right, well, we're going to move on here. We've got 2 questions, I think, that I've seen for you so far, Ruben. I'm going to pull those up, and we do have your Stump the Blevins cards to hit John with.
Oh, man.
So while I find these
man.
questions here, we're going to give the viewers and Ruben a quick little example of what happens with Stump the Blevins. Now, this week it will be Ruben giving the cards to John. But, John, Sludge Belcher, please.
Tubs feel funny.
So,
I like that one.
right, that's my favorite one to make him do of all the cards that exist, and so we use that for the example at the beginning of...
Yes,
of-
and Acolyte of Pain, of course.
Oh, yeah, Acolyte of Pain is the most awkward death
Speak to
sound.
me. Yeah.
I'm
Oh, the
gonna
death
get it.
sound? Oh,
Yeah.
The death
God.
sound, yeah.
Look
it's the
into
best.
that. It's just like this... It's this Craigasmy yes to it. Like, it's just... Yeah, it's really cringeworthy and so funny.
So great.
Did you get much value off Harrison? Asked Haymaker about that Paladin deck. Yes, tons. If you don't
Harrison's
have
really
it, you can replace it. If you have it, just play with it. It's solid enough just as a 5/4 in many
Yeah.
situations.
I was playing it in Patron Warrior for the mirror, and there's just enough like weapon classes on the ladder to warrant its inclusion.
Ruben, in the in crowd, will there be references / jokes to other esports or the RNG and Hearthstone as an esport? I think we answered the RNG and Hearthstone part of
Yeah,
that.
I certainly expect there to be jokes about RNG being a thing. I can't for a couple reasons. I'm not going to tell you specifics. First of all, I don't want to ruin it for you, and second of all, I don't really have all the ideas readily available in my head. I can certainly think of situations where RNG would be a joke, and I think that bringing up other esports is a good idea to sort of compare Hearthstone to the other esports in a joking manner at least. Seeing maybe the guys will be in their house and be like, no, the Heroes of the Storm guys have a bigger house than we do, or something like that.
I was just going to say, like a rivalry between the Heroes team and the Hearthstone team would be funny.
Yeah, something like that would be cool. So yeah, I certainly think that, like I mentioned earlier, every part of the Buffalo, everything that I can use, everything can be funny. It's framing it in the right way.
All right. Well, we will take a look for those truly taboo topics to see how those.
Yeah.
Those
yeah. No, we're gonna get very edgy with our Heroes of the Storm guys have a bigger house than. that's the big issue of the week.
Yeah.
All right. Not necessarily related to the show, or not really related to the show at all, but a question from Lucis here. Do you think they will slowly implement playing a card on your opponent's turn, or an interaction with the graveyard like they did with Resurrect? Do you think they'll kind of expand on that, or allow you more freedom on your opponent's turn?
No. I think that the extent to which you'll play on your opponent's turn is going to be secrets. I think that it just makes the game simpler. That's part of the game engine. They certainly could if they wanted to, but I think that in the interest of simplicity, we've been playing this game for a while, but there are new people picking this game up every week. And if you add weird cards that have very complicated things to do, not just on your turn, but on your opponent's turn, you're going to turn people off. In addition to the fact that I need that 90 seconds to go get a drink of water. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be bothered on my opponent's turn. Like I've done my job, now it's your turn. You know what I mean? Right. It's like chess. If I could do stuff while your opponent's moving chess pieces around, it'd be kind of weird. It doesn't translate exactly, but
right.
Anything
Plus, people are going to be doing it on the phone too. Yeah, they have for all the sort of new things that they add to the game, more the complexity specifically, you have to kind of frame it in the mindset that it's also going to be released on your phone. So they can only go so far. And I mean, I'm sure phone users are going to be, and mobile users are definitely going to be a high percentage of their money income for sure. It's not always just about the legend players. And most of the time, especially in Magic, it's not at all about the high level players in terms of what makes them money, and that's sad to say the bottom line at the end of the day.
It's not even that sad to say.
That's true. It's not that sad.
People love dragons. Why is that sad? That's awesome.
That is true.
Dragons are great. Make them good in your game, and you'll sell more things because dragons are awesome. That's hey man.
Who doesn't like the Targaryens?
We figured it out. Yeah, the Targaryens, the Magic's most recent set was Dragons of Tarkir. Right. The dragons just came out in Hearthstone. It's like, yeah, man, winged lizards are a thing right now. They're awesome.
Right. That's the mainstream. That's what from geek cultures made it mainstream is dragons right now. So
yeah.
It's not vampires anymore.
No,
it was for a little bit.
Thank God those days are over.
But we're past
vampires.
For now. Innistrad was great.
So sweet.
Innistrad was the Vampire Magic set, and it was great. And I'm sure if we get a vampire set in Hearthstone, it'll also be great. I don't know if there are vampires in Hearthstone or in Warcraft.
No idea.
But, whatever.
Just werewolves.
Can't be bad, right?
Trying to think if there is.
They can just make up whatever they want. They can just make vampires happen. They'll do it.
There's got to be enough instances of them where they could have a small subset of them if they want.
Isn't there a playable thing in World of Warcraft that's just like a paper airplane? Isn't that a thing? I know that there was like a card in the original World of Warcraft trading card game. It was just a paper airplane,
right?
And that was like a loot card. I'm not sure exactly how that worked, but I imagine that it translated in some capacity. You know,
I can like throw a paper airplane to somebody, but it goes from my inventory into their inventory directly.
Oh, okay.
I don't control it, but there might be.
There wasn't a paper airplane mount.
No.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Look, man,
oh yeah, there
we
is a
can
paper
ride-
airplane card.
We can ride on Hearthstone card backs in Heroes of the Storm. We can, you know, at least I had Chicken is like one of the best cards in the game. You know, it's like we're not taking ourselves too seriously with Hearthstone or with World of Warcraft or with Heroes of the Storm. We can do whatever the heck we want. You know, we named a card Harrison Jones. All right, like
John, what
let's
does
back
that
off
say
on
when
the
you
seriousness here.
attack? What does Harrison Jones say when you attack?
We don't need to talk about Harrison Jones attacking.
Ruben, his girlfriend was in the background of one of our episodes one time, and I got him to make the Harrison Jones attack whip sound.
Oh man.
So
And
it's
I didn't even realize because like I was like, oh, I gotta leave early, guys. I gotta go to dinner now. And Jim's just like,
Wow.
Blevins,
What
what's
a
Harrison
setup.
Jones doing his attack? And I go, and then I'm like, oh,
just the
I
look
just
on his
got-
face. It was
just
beautiful.
hook, line, and sinker.
Why would you
just
set him up like
destroyed.
that?
Fun.
I just got destroyed.
Yeah, that's horrid. That is a blowout.
Yeah, it was not even close. Just-
Shots were fired. It was a good.
Yeah,
time.
I gotta be careful around you guys.
We have-
That's insane.
We have some fun in the after show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We do have another question or two here for you as well, and then we are going to stump the Blevins. But I just scrolled a little bit and lost the question because we're all about quality
Was it
programming
Lucid's
here.
questions?
Okay, yeah, we've only got one more. I already asked that one. So if they change the hero's powers, what type of effect do you think it will negatively affect certain cards like Shield Slam and Northshire Cleric, since especially Northshire Cleric being like the primary draw engine for priests?
Certainly.
Yeah.
But there are also cards that are like Savagery right now
Yeah.
that also don't have a home. So you're gonna put your Northshire Clerics into your priest, into your current priest, and then when they come out with the Shadow Priest hero, you're just not gonna use Northshire Cleric. You're gonna use something else, right?
Shadow Bomber.
Yeah, you're gonna use Shadow Bomber in your other priest decks. So, you know, right now you're gonna in your Gromash Warriors, Shield Slam's great. But in your Dwarf short and stouts,
Short and stout.
yeah. If you're hold on, I gotta come up with a better name.
I thought we were naming beers. I didn't know what we were doing anymore.
Right, I was trying. Oh, whatever. I can't come up with one. Anyway, in your Norse dwarf warlord guy deck, you're gonna have a different hero power, and then your other cards are gonna be better. So I think you're gonna get to play with cards that certainly, certainly some cards are gonna go down in value in the other builds of those decks.
Yeah. So there will be a good solid give and take to it.
Yeah. I don't think that you're not going to lose more than you gain.
Right. And I don't think there's much chance that the hero ability actually gets replaced. Like the current version of Warrior doesn't exist anymore. I think if there's going to be a new hero ability, I do think it'll be an additional one to choose from.
Yeah.
So you'll always have the ability to, like you said, go back and play Northshire and Anduin and then something else in the other one.
Oh man,
Yeah.
how sweet would it be if they just changed the hero every season? It's just like it's like there's 12 different
Dude,
heroes.
I only have so much dust, man. I can't craft all these cards.
You don't own everything already, Ruben? Come on.
Oh, no way.
I'm goldening,
I need to,
goldening
like-
everything out now.
Every time there's like one of these like Hearthstone adventures, and I'm like, oh, you know what the perfect card for this Hearthstone adventure would be? I need to craft 2 Crazed Alchemists, or I need to craft what was the legend? Oh, I need to craft a Lore Walker Cho, right? I needed a Lore Walker Cho to beat the guy that put the spells in your hand,
Yeah.
which was
Oh,
like
wow. I didn't
the
even
worst
know that.
ever. Yeah, that's how I beat that guy. Was like, all right, well, you want to give me spells? I'm going to give you spells, stupid. Like, that's how I beat that guy. But I needed 16 million dust for it.
That's true.
Which
the
was-
Lore Walker
which-
Cho is definitely a hard bullet to swallow.
Yeah, he like set me back like 3 months or whatever, you know.
I had a
So-
similarly painful experience. Me and Blevins in the after show will sometimes play goofy formats, and Crip put out that video about the goal of the game is now to kill yourself instead of the opponent. So I was playing Warlock, and I had to make that 4-mana 5/5 that battle cries
Pit
deal
Lord.
5 damage. Pit Lord.
Oh, Pit Lord, yeah.
So I had to
5/6.
craft 2 of those.
5/6.
That was a
it's a
painful
5/6.
800 dust to swallow. Not as bad as what's his face.
Lore Walker too.
Yeah, Lore Walker.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it was still brutal.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll run into like, man, I really wish I had a Malagos.
Right.
Yep. Can't play that deck. Which is fine, you know. Who really needs a Malagos? I need a Malagos like every 3 months. I need a Dr. Boom every day.
Right.
That's
so,
true.
you know, it's priorities.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ruben, we're ready here now to try to stump Mr. Blevins. So whenever you're ready,
Okay.
you can go ahead and give him your first card.
All right. The first card that I need the battle cry for is Bolivar for Dragon.
Bolivar for Dragon. Oh man. Oh, have I ever even cast this card before?
That's another one that I certainly have never cast.
Yeah. I have no idea what his is. I have no idea what Bolivar is.
Dude, me neither. I picked only cards. I picked cards that I don't know the battle cries to, and I know almost all the battle cries.
Come forth,
Come
coward.
Coward!
Yeah, that
Come,
would have
come forth, coward. All right, that's a good one. I like that one.
That one.
And we give John the attack sound as well, which is
You will pay!
You will pay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Ruben,
Didn't know those.
you have
So,
done
the
what
second
I
one-
can't do. You stumped
Yeah,
him.
I stumped ya.
I
Stumped
got
ya.
stumped.
All right. The second one I was gonna do because I was like, what don't I know? And then I thought of Soot Spewer, but that's just a generic mech like piston noise apparently.
Oh.
And so instead, we're going to go with South Sea Captain.
Yeah. I think you might have gotten the 2-0.
Oh,
I have
man.
no
Really?
idea what the-
Wow. All right.
I've never
sweet.
played Pirates.
Wow. All right.
Trust the pirate's code.
Trust the Pirates. Yeah, I have no idea what that
Trust
is.
the Pirate's Code. It's real slow and
I
deliberate.
didn't know that one.
You should have known the attack, though, John.
Scurvy dog!
Scurvy dog.
See, if you would
I
have
knew
known,
Scurvy
if you would have
Dogs.
done
Yeah, I knew Scurvy Dog.
Well,
Salty Dog, I think, is also when he comes into play. It's like Scurvy Dog or something like that.
Yeah.
well. Anyways, nonetheless, congratulations to you, Ruben. You are now officially on the Stump the Blevins Hall of Fame.
Did it.
I'm not even
You have
on
more-
there, and I play this
More
game
points than
every
Jim.
week.
So the other version of this game that we came up with when we were discussing the pre-show was if I give you the battle cry, do you know the card?
Oh man, I'm maybe.
All right,
Although,
let's
probably not because I don't even think I know any of the names of any cards. But go ahead.
Oh, really? No, that's awkward. All right.
If I didn't
So-
bring up the picture, he'd never get anything.
No, fair enough. All right, so here we go.
Yeah, get behind me.
Oh, that's he's a 5/4 taunt for 5. I have no idea what
Correct.
his name is.
That's the Booty Bay Bodyguard. You got
Booty
him.
Bay Bodyguard. There you go.
Yeah, get behind me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one is
Come close and listen.
Yes, that's Iron Sensei.
okay. You got both of those.
Yes. So I got the reverse Stump the
You got the
Blevins,
reverse game,
Reverse.
but the original game, I
The one that
I
counts,
stumped
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I'm still calling it an 0-2 loss for Blevins.
All right.
So, nonetheless, Ruben, thank you so much, my friend. That's going to bring us to the end of our show. We really appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed being on the show, and I hope you guys, you know, I hope that not just you guys, but I hope that the community at large really likes the in crowd. I've been working pretty hard on it, and it's definitely a departure from what everyone's been trying to do with Hearthstone Media. Thus far, it's definitely something brand new that nobody's tried before, and I hope you guys enjoy it when it comes out, and that it's at least a little bit successful.
Well, I'm sure it will be at least a little successful, if nothing else.
Well.
Just it's so innovative and different, like we were
Yeah.
saying previously. That I don't know how you, if you're a Hearthstone player and you take it all serious, I don't know how you aren't waiting to check this out. So I'm sure, at bare minimum, the traffic on episode 1 will be phenomenal.
Sure. Yep.
From there,
You'll at least have us two watching it.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Perfect.
I'll watch all of them. I don't care. I'm super excited about it. Before I knew you were involved with it, and I look forward to seeing it come to fruition and grow and kind of change as you do it too.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun with it, and you'll kind of develop a new style of writing, as you said, as you learn those guys. And
Yeah.
Is Raynad always that salty? Can you tell us?
Right.
I'm really asking.
And the thing is, I don't even know those guys very well. You know, I know them through this project.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sort of going. I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants here, trying to get inside of these guys' heads and become friends with guys that I've never met in person. Really, I know them from the streams, just like you guys do, and from their content. So hopefully that translates, and I can make some people laugh.
Well, this week we did forego the streamer spotlight because we had the guest and we are spotlighting the show and all the other projects that Ruben is on. So please feel free, if you're at all Magic the Gathering inclined, before we go off the air, Ruben will tell you how to find him on Twitter, his podcast on Twitter, where to go to watch it tonight, things like that. So yeah, Ruben, actually, why don't you just get that out of the way right now?
All right, sure. I am Ruben Bressler, otherwise known as Mox Ruby on the interwebs. I'm a poker player, gamer, writer living in Las Vegas. I'm the head writer of the animated Hearthstone comedy known as The In Crowd. I co-host the Magic Mike's podcast, which you can view tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. That'd be 5 p.m. Hawaiian. If you guys are, on vacation. I'm also reporting on the main event of the World Series of Poker for 888 Poker. Basically, if it involves cards or cardboard in competition, I'm going to write about it and have an opinion. After the World Series of Poker is over, I'm actually going to start streaming more Hearthstone. So maybe I can be your streamer spotlight.
You absolutely will be.
There you go. So you can go to twitch.tv/MOXREUBY. And that's where that stream will take place. I'm going to start streaming maybe 4 or 5 days a week after mid-July or so. Talking about the In Crowd and talking about all my other projects and trying to get people to watch the stupid comedy show that I'm writing and listen to the other Magic podcasts that I do and all that good stuff. So, I got my thumbs in a lot of pies, as they like to say, and hopefully you guys enjoy at least some of the things that I do. If Magic isn't for you, or if Hearthstone isn't for you, or poker isn't for you, there's lots of other things that you can catch me on, and I hope to see you guys somewhere on the internet.
Well, we definitely appreciate you coming on, and you have entertained me every time I've seen you. I miss you on the Star City Games coverage when I still watched Magic tournaments. It's definitely sad to see you go there.
Always good to hear, yeah. And if you guys want to go back and check out old newsenings and interviewsenings,
yes,
those are still on the internet. And those are basically, the newsening was the Daily Show for Magic the Gathering, and the interviewsenings were basically Stephen Colbert style troll interviews for Magic the Gathering. We'll see if I ever bring those back. I haven't really decided. I don't really have the big marketing machine behind me like I did at Star City Games. But I would not be surprised to. Yeah, I got Raynad, I got Gara, I got Hyped. I got to come up with a new name though. Newsening and interviewsening doesn't work when your game doesn't end with ening.
Right.
Right. Magic the Gathering was where that came from.
Right.
It was Magic the Newsening, and now I need to come up with like Newsstone, I guess. That's kind of awful.
It's just it's too on the nose.
Yeah.
Well,
Heroes of Newscraft. Yeah, we'll work on it. This is a workshop session. We're coming up with names. All right, we'll figure it out later.
City Games, but you have one podcast that will help you spread the word about anything you do. So let us know what we can do for you, and let us know if there's ever anything you need that we can help you on, since you've helped us.
Awesome.
We definitely owe you a favor.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
It was a pleasure. I am Jim. That is John. And we will see you guys next week.
Who, me?
Wait, they can hear. Oh.
Sure, yeah. I gotta get onto the pre-show for that. I got some things to do before I get on the pre-show for that. I appreciate the offer, but I can't stick around. Thanks again for having me on. Okay, yeah, I gotta get going. I got some stuff to do. But once again, thanks for having me on, and I'm gonna check out when you tweet out the video of this being released or whatever. Let me know. Sweet, cool. Thanks, guys. See you later.